Ross? Good dog. Good dog. Bad dog!
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we need to talk. So let's talk about open world. This game has one of the best, or maybe even the best way to create an open world game by being built completely on its stories. This means exploring rewards you with new adventures. And isn't that the reason to launch an open world game at all? To go on adventures?
Speaking of adventure, I have a task for you, dear Phoebe.
An adventure?
Yes!
Strangely enough, this rich bouquet of stories in Odyssey is hardly ever mentioned. When the game is praised, it's usually for things like the map, boss fights, RPG elements and stuff like that. In return, it is often criticized for being too long, too big, and full of pointless fetch quests.
Cassandra, we have a problem.
This is a direct result of its unique structure that breaks with conventions. As players, we are drilled to follow every question mark and every quest marker on the map. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, however, features a system of randomly generated quests, endlessly. This means you will never be able to complete this game to 100%, and when you actively start hunting these random quests, you won't even be able to leave the province you are in right now. We are also drilled to consider every questline as either relevant to the overall story of the game or as necessary for grinding. Devs don't spend hours of works and tons of money for something the player is free to ignore. However, in Assassin's Creed Odyssey, about 2/3 of the quests are entirely optional storylines. And, due to their sheer length, they are rather unsuited for grinding. Here again, you are not supposed to run after every quest marker you are shown in the distance. What a difference to a game like Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Let's take a look at the random side quests first. What they are, what purpose they serve, and what they do for you. You usually find these quests on the notice boards, sometimes also as grey hourglass or 2 grey arrows on the map. The difference between the hourglass and the arrows is that the background of the stories of the latter have a connection to what actually happens in your campaign so far. Otherwise, they are the same.
Need something, healer?
I heard you hate bald people.
What?
It's okay. I hate bald people too. That Hippocrates is one ugly Malakas.
Bald or not, Hippocrates is a nice man. I don't think he should be judged on his hair loss.
It doesn't matter if he's nice. He just shouldn't be bald. I have a cure though, and it isn't herbs.
And what is that?
Hippocrates' ugly bald pate has given me inspiration. Do you know what makes a good substitute for hair? Bear hair! If all the bears around here were to drop dead, I may cure this world of baldness.
There are 3 types of random quests: timed quests, bounty hunts, and contracts. Different from the timed quests and bounties, contracts don't have a time limit. That's how you can tell them from the others. While in theory they never expire until completed, contracts tied to a certain province might do so if that province changes ownership.
Ah, Mystios. How was Megaris?
The wolf is dead.
Contracts usually have very broad tasks such as kill 10 Athenian soldiers, fight in 2 battles for Sparta, or destroy 3 Spartan supply crates. These might either apply to a specified province or happen anywhere on the map. As you might have noticed, these are things you do anyways. So it's a good idea to stop at every notice board and pick up all the contracts you can find. You usually will complete them by simply playing the game. Consider them bonus payment for doing your job.
The full amount is promised.
Bounty hunts pay the same as contracts. You only get them on notice boards. They are called Bounty On, and they are timed. I consider these Cassandra's actual line of work, the bread and butter quest, and the way grinding is done in Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There absolutely is no need to raid every facility on the map to get money, gear or XP as you would do in most other open world games. That's what these quests are for. Bounties appear quite frequently on notice boards, so whenever you're short of money it's a good idea to go around and do some traveling and bounty hunting. You might even make it a habit to rarely lose fast travel in mainland Greece, but travel overland from notice board to notice board doing these bounty hunts on the way to the next destination. Doing so will guarantee you are never low on money or low on XP.
Come on!
There are two kinds of bounty hunts, group bounties and individual bounties. A group bounty spawns a camp of soldiers, bandits, followers of Ares or whatever somewhere on the map. These bounties never target an actual facility like a fortress that might be part of a real quest. Sometimes the entire group is a target and sometimes an individual of that group. In both cases you will usually end up killing the entire group. Unless you are extremely lucky, that is.
You're gonna die!
The individual bounties usually target other mercenaries. I would suggest taking them all in case you happen to run into one of them. However, actively hunting other mercenaries is not worth the trouble. They often rush at neck-break speed across the map, leading you into regions you absolutely didn't want to go by them. Even fast travel is often not fast enough for them. A rare case is bounties on politicians. These are always single civilians. An easy target? Well, yes and no. While they are easy to kill, there are usually enough eyewitnesses around to get your name on the notice board next. When I picked the first one of these in the middle of Athens, I didn't know that civilians might attack you too. In the end, I was fighting half of the polis with a maximum bounty and died soon thereafter, so handle with care.
Shit! Just die already!
Even rarer are bounties on state leaders. This is a masterclass for assassins.
Die!
All these contracts and bounties are only of use if you play a regular game and not a New Game Plus. When you are on a higher level, something above level 50 or so, you will find epic gear all around. Selling this is often more lucrative than doing bounty hunts. I have done 2 playthroughs with the New Game Plus and 3 as a regular game. From that experience I can say that playing a regular, fresh if you like, game of Assassin's Creed Odyssey is way more fun than starting on a high level in the New Game Plus. While you always should pick up bounties and contracts, timed side quests are something you usually wouldn't bother with. You get them from the notice boards as well as from quest givers popping up randomly on the map. In fact, accepting a timed quest from the board just spawns its respective quest giver on the map. Timed quests come with a proper backstory. These quests have much more variants than just killing people. There are hunts, deliveries, protection and rescue missions, and heists. Or this one here.
There's a group of heretic soldiers denying our gods and calling on foreign ones. If they keep it up, this land will be cursed.
How do you plan to stop them?
The false idols and their worshippers must be eliminated. Show them there's no place for impiety here.
You're saying you want me to destroy it?
Yes, the shrine must be destroyed.
I'll help you.
You'll be doing divine work.
Here.
Timed quests indeed might target the main facilities of the game. You might even accidentally complete one of them by killing someone inside a fort or picking something up that actually is part of a timed quest. In this case, you can simply cash in afterward. So yes, timed quests can be a lot of fun, but they are also a lot of hassle. You have to travel to the quest giver, listen to his story, then travel to the location where you have to do whatever needs to be done, and then you have to return to the quest giver to turn in the quest. And for all this, you just get about 1/3 of what you get for a contract or bounty hunt. With all this, it's clear they are rather unsuited for grinding. They take far too long and pay too little to help you get rich. Their main function in the game is to keep the world alive. Thanks to these little random quests, you never run out of things to do and people to talk to in Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I feel richer already.
And that's absolutely amazing. In this game you have content in any region at any time, even when you have already completed all scripted side and main quests in that part of the map. And that's a true open world, giving you the full freedom to go wherever you want and do whatever you like. On the downside, this poses the danger of getting totally lost in this game. Following every quest marker and completing everything. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, it's simply not possible.
You again. Has it been destroyed, Misthios?
It's been smashed to pieces, just like you asked.
Great work, Misthios. You've earned your drachmi.
All in a day's work.
Even though these timed quests are random, totally generic and have no connection whatsoever to the rest of the stories, they are in no way bad. These little random quests are certainly better than anything Assassin's Creed Origins has to offer as side quests, not to mention Valhalla. And even in the acclaimed Witcher 3, side quests often were limited to rather generic monster hunts. Assassin's Creed Odyssey additionally has a rich selection of properly scripted side quests. You will recognize these by the golden and purple exclamation marks. The purple ones are part of the Lost Tales DLC. I would highly recommend not touching them before very late in the game. Some of them assume Cassandra is somewhat famous. In others, the quest giver is someone you meet late in the main storyline. Before we go on, the obvious spoiler warning. While we won't be going through every event and every decision, spoilers are unavoidable. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, the main storyline is your family story. It has a clear sequence of missions, sometimes with a selection where you can pick one out of 3 quests to do next, but still have to complete all 3 in order to advance in the story. Each of these missions is made up of several quests. On most occasions, there's a bunch of side quests at the location this mission takes place. These are not relevant to the main story, but they are connected to the situation. For example, the side quests in Olympia are connected to the Olympic Games in one way or another, and you are supposed to do them when the story sends you there to compete. I would call these groups of local quests the arc of that region, borrowing this term from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. While this does send you to most regions in mainland Greece, there's an at least equal number of quests on the Aegean Islands that have nothing to do with the main storyline. These side quests are usually part of a greater story, and the quests on 1 or 2 neighboring islands often form an arc of their own, either by being connected directly or by sharing a common overall topic.
So my spear is broken, and I'm being asked to find countless artifacts around the world. Forever. Happy vacation, Cassandra.
In this aspect, Assassin's Creed Odyssey differs vastly from most other games of that genre. I haven't played any other game that puts so much effort into completely optional and avoidable side content. Most game developers are anxiously forcing the player to play through every bit and piece they have created before completing the game.
You haven't seen anything yet.
My favorite example of how elaborate these side quests can become in Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the storyline helping a healer. This quest becomes available in 4 keys after completing the main questline there. At this point, the game sends you in the opposite direction. So there's a high chance you miss this quest on your first visit to 4 keys. Helping a healer is not the largest of these side stories. That would be Trouble in Paradise, or even the best one, that would be the Kafka arc, but it is the one that has surprised me the most.
You must be a physician.
Yes, I'm Lycaon. You must be a Misthios. Are you here for treatment?
That depends. Will I have to roar for you too?
This quest starts with the healer asking you to gather mandrake herbs. He can't do so anymore because the place is overrun by wolves. Of course, You have played exactly this mission a dozen times in a dozen games. So did I, but we are not done yet. After turning in the herbs, he asks you to deliver them to his patients. Fine, more running around. You might have noticed that Cassandra can flirt with the quest giver, an obvious warning that there is more to come. After returning to the healer, he asks Cassandra to accompany him to his fourth patient, who turns out to be his grandmother. She is a former Pythia, an oracle of Delphi, of which Cassandra by now has already learned that they are in no way speaking for the gods, but being controlled by the cult of Cosmos. And even worse, this very Pythia was the one that spoke the fatal prophecy that destroyed Cassandra's life and family. So, Cassandra just was helping a healer in getting herbs, and now she is willing to end the life of his grandmother. Painfully. Things just got serious.
She can't be left unpunished.
My family was torn apart by a false prophecy. If it was one of hers, I may take matters into my own hands.
Next, we learn that the grandmother was kidnapped by some bandits. This doesn't serve much purpose story-wise, but it is needed to give Cassandra control over the person in question. After freeing the Oracle, you have to decide.
Did she tell you? Is she the Oracle who brought ruin on your family?
I'm sorry for what I've done. I accept my punishment. But please, don't let my grandson kill me. Lycaon's a good man, a healer. This would break him.
No, this is my responsibility. I must be the one to end her.
You're a healer, Lycaon, not a killer. I am. You still have a hope of a better life beyond this.
No, Cassandra. I can.
This woman betrayed the trust of the gods and of the people who seek their wisdom. In the name of all those betrayed by your false prophecies, Oracle, I end your miserable life.
This is my responsibility. I must be the one to end her.
If you don't finish this, Lycaon, you won't be able to live with yourself. Go on. Kill her.
I can't.
Then this is where I leave. Live as a killer or live as a coward, Lycaon. I can't help you anymore.
This is my responsibility. I must be the one to end her.
I've killed enough people to know that violence has no end. Better to move on, and make the best of the lives the gods have given you.
Move on. But you said Praxithea ruined your family.
She can do no more harm. Killing her for revenge won't change what happened. Besides, didn't you tell me something about hope?
Thank you for your mercy. I promise I will do good with what's left of my days.
You're right, Cassandra. I might not be able to forgive my grandmother, not right away. But she can go on with her life, and I with mine.
I think you've made the right decision, Lycaon.
How do you do this? Decide who lives and who dies?
How do you do it, Lycaon? All those lives depending on you, needing your healing and kindness.
I think I need you, Cassandra. Not to kill anybody or find anything. Just to stay with me.
I can't stay forever, but for now, let me take care of you, healer. Oh. Looks so peaceful from up here. It always does, but it never is. I know, Icarus. I'm tired too. I've met so many people. Harkons, kings, and now Isu. They're all the same. Go do this. Bring me that. Go kill him. I don't know if I can do this anymore.
And these kinds of side quests with storylines of their own are something players struggle with. I did when first playing this game, and from watching others play it as well as from reading reviews, I see that many do too. In Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you have to stay focused on the task at hand. The moment you run after a new quest marker popping up on a distant island, you will be dragged into a lengthy story arc 9 out of 10 times. I have seen people in streams abandoning the main storyline literally in the middle of an ongoing quest because some time ago they passed an island with a quest marker on it. The idea to just complete that single quest quickly turns out to be a bad idea when they launch a complete arc that way involving dozens of quests on 2 islands.
So, did you kill your father?
Step-father.
I suppose the gods won't judge you too harshly for a step-patricide.
Luckily, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a game that you can and should continue playing after completing the main story. I think it's best played in 4 chapters, with the first chapter focusing on the main storyline. You simply go where the game tells you to go. Save for Thera, that's where our second chapter starts. This second chapter deals with everything around the Atlantis story, including the respective DLC. This is quite a lengthy part, including the Crete and Lesbos arcs, as well as the main DLC of the game. Playing this in the middle of the main storyline wouldn't make much sense. The third chapter focuses on the cult, or what still remains of it, including the Legacy DLC. You might play this DLC at the start or at the end of the chapter. Both make sense story-wise. The Legacy DLC probably is the weakest part of the entire game when it comes to writing. I don't mind the forced romance, if Cassandra is supposed not to be only the primordial goddess of all swingers, but also the primordial mother of the assassins, she has to have a child at one point. However, when the actual romance is limited to staring at each other and rolling their eyes, and suddenly they earn love and they have a child, it leaves a lot to be desired.
You remember Macedonia?
Of course. Walls of dust and flame, the huntsman.
I remember you, Natakas. Only you.
And the fourth chapter basically is everything that is left open, in particular the Lost Tales quest. It should be clothing with the Corfu DLC. Splitting up the game in these 4 pieces allows you to focus on the task at hand by keeping in mind that everything you skip now you will do later. Yes, Odyssey is a perfect game for notorious procrastinators. These chapters also make sure you actually get things done without getting, say, quests on. This might also provide proper points of exit if you ever feel like needing a break from this game.
What will be your first stop, Cassandra?
I don't know. What I do know is that I need a new weapon. Egypt has always fascinated me.
Ah, one of my favorite places. Let me tell you one of my best stories.
While playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you are occasionally given several tasks to complete. You can then do these in any order, but you have to do them all to proceed with the story. Often, they have an intended order that is somewhat counterintuitive. For example, when leaving Athens for the first time, Cassandra is asked to go to Chaos, Corinth, and Aulis to find clues about her mother. Most people would start with Chaos because it is the nearest destination, then Corinth and finally Argos. This is actually the reverse intended order. Play it in the way Marini has fled from Sparta instead. Argolis, Corinthia, Chaos. We have a similar situation after meeting the Spartan kings. Cassandra is asked to go to Olympia, Arcadia and Boeotia. While you certainly will do the Olympia arc first, because it starts in Sparta, going to Arcadia thereafter not is a good idea, even though it is a neighboring province. Story-wise, it is best if you do Boeotia before Arcadia. The third example is the start of the Atlantis questline. From there, Cassandra is tasked with visiting Crete, Kythera, Boeotia and Lesbos. The best order here would be Boeotia, Lesbos, Kythera and Crete finally. What else is here to say? Assassin's Creed Odyssey certainly has its issues. With a game of that size, it's unavoidable to also have things to criticize in it. My main issue would be characters, and coming alongside, voice acting. Assassin's Creed Odyssey doesn't take itself too seriously and has a rather humorous tone. I like that. However, as a side effect, the game doesn't take character development too seriously either. Characters are often one-dimensional, up to the point where they come along as a parody of themselves. This goes hand in hand with a lot of overacting that never should have made it into the game.
Vile Socrates, always appearing where I least expect him. Warrior, protect me from his amorous gaze.
The worst example would be Alcibiades. Does this man strike you as the most cunning politician of his time? A person you would entrust with leading an overseas military campaign despite being charged with treason? Someone who would immediately believe that he would voluntarily turn himself in when he was found guilty. The NPCs in the Lemnos Tassos arc are another example of totally exaggerated and poorly voiced characters.
I have a real bond with my pets. You look strong. Yes, yes. I can never have enough pets. You could join my family?
So, an Olympic champion strolls into my school, steals my thunder, and dares to challenge me? A great Euthymos!
And of course not to forget Alexios, who gives an acceptable mad villain, but is voiced nowhere near the elite Cassandra is in. There is a reason why she has been declared canon, despite the game clearly being written for a male protagonist, and despite 90% of all marketing material featuring Alexios.
Peace? And what under Ilios would you do with yourself if there was peace? Milk the goats? Look at you, almighty Misthios. You're nothing but a mercenary with a broken spear.
And of course, in a game like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, we have to talk about historical accuracy. I think the game does a good job of recreating 5th century BC Greece, give or take a few anachronisms and artistic liberties. At least as far as my limited knowledge of the archaeology of that period goes. When it comes to the military, things don't look that good. Or maybe it's just me knowing more about that field than about temples. For the start, classical Greece is a rather poor choice for game members. It was a time of very standardized combat. Armies were composed of barely trained citizens pressed into tight formations. These would be poking each other with spears until one side lost nerve and run, or that's at least how we assume battle looked back then. There was no room for individual bravery, and there were no heroes tanking themselves through the common folk until eventually clashing in single combat. All this would rather belong to the Bronze Age or the Archaic period, the time Roma wrote about and the time he lived in. In short, battles during Cassandra's time would have looked nothing like the ones in this game.
Send these Athenians to Hades!
Weapons and armor would be another topic. While you might have guessed that giant axes don't belong in classical Greece, Assassin's Creed Odyssey does show a lot of authentic equipment. However, it is all useful. The only two figures from Assassin's Creed Odyssey you would actually encounter on a 5th century battlefield would be the Spartan Oplete with the round shield and the spear, and the Athenian archer with the tunic and the simple helmet. Everyone else would be a nope. The Athenian soldier with the round shield, for example, looks good in the first sight. But he's wearing a Celtic helmet, one that wouldn't come in use in that region for the next 200 years, and his main weapon is a sword where it should be a spear. The Spartan with the red skirt and the spear is such a poor sod that he can't even afford a shirt, leave alone a shield, but for some reason he decided to invest in little gloves. And this list goes on. But what about Cassandra? Now, the gear that was designed especially for Cassandra or Alexios to wear is mostly pure fantasy. However, with the gear from the NPC soldiers, you are indeed able to patch together some fairly accurate appearance for them, if you like. Cassandra can't use a shield but has a bow. That would make her an archer. Most archers, Toxodai, were recruited from the poorer classes. They couldn't afford armor and quality weapons. This means, in combat, they would stay out of the real fights and harass the enemy from afar. That's of course not an option for Cassandra. There was, however, a group of specialized heavy archers that could go toe-to-toe. The Greeks called that the Cretan style. The Cretans, who don't necessarily all had to come from Crete, were professionals who could afford proper equipment. Cretan archers were a must-have for every professional force in that region well into Roman times. Cassandra here is wearing a simple helmet that offers a good all-around vision. Her armor is a classical leaning thorax made of several layers of cloth with metal reinforcement. The belt, Pterigus, is attached to it. That everyone in ancient times was wearing bracers is a Hollywood invention. However, Cassandra would indeed wear them. Archers often did so to protect their forearm from the bowstring. Additionally, she is hunting with an eagle and needs a protected landing zone for Icarus. Because she doesn't use a shield, she doesn't bother with greaves either. No one would be targeting her legs when her torso already is exposed. Cassandra's main weapon is the bow. As a secondary weapon, she would use a sword. This might be someone you would actually see on an ancient green battlefield. And that is that. So next time someone tells you Assassin's Creed Odyssey is bad because it is full of stupid fetch quests, you know he either didn't play the game at all or played it the wrong way. I think the problem with Assassin's Creed Odyssey is that it drops a very creative and innovative system on an audience that was trained last but not least by the same company to approach these games differently. I'm not saying that Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the best open world game ever made, no. But the way it is set up is the best way to do open world. These games should be built on their stories, rewarding you with adventures for exploring and not be a list of places to complete and bosses to defeat.
Hey! Shitface! Get down here!
The same team now is working on Assassin's Creed Red, the one set in feudal Japan. I'm looking forward to that, hoping they stick to the Odyssey formula and don't take any inspiration from Valhalla. But that's a topic for another